Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. It's a Boxing Day place. It's not the normal setup. Apologies for the lighting, but it is not a normal result for Manchester United. A 4-1 result, a 4-1 win for Manchester United at Old Trafford. It's very rare that we're talking about such a comfortable result. And look, I just want to say, in relation to United today, I thought that Anthony Martial was absolutely superb. And if you agree with me that Martial was your man of the match, then please do smash a like on the video. I thought he was just superlative. And the first goal, yeah, maybe the keeper should have done a little bit better with it, but the shot is more or less in exactly the right place that the keeper's got to make a save, and he doesn't. The second goal, which Greenwood scores, which basically kills the game from 1-0 down, is because he's pressing. If you're watching Martial off the ball, and this is all I say to you, every game that Martial plays, watch what he's doing off the ball. When he scored the equaliser, he's getting everybody up. When he's pressing, he's pushing everybody up. And I think that Martial today was just superb. It's a shame he was taken off, because I think he hit the foot of the post. He could have had a hat-trick. He got 2 goals. Assist of the game came from Sean Longstaff with that back pass. Reminded me of bloody Gerrard against Chelsea a few years ago. I mean, what a Manchester United... For the second time I've said this season, why were Manchester United obsessing about signing Sean Longstaff in the summer? He is shit. He is really shit. Like, I've seen him play 3 times now, twice against United, and he's got nothing about him. Like, I don't even know why we wanted to sign him. We've dodged the bullet there. And again, it makes you wonder about United's recruitment, because Sean Longstaff has got nothing. He is a Poundland McTominay. He has got nothing about him. He is a very, very poor player. And why are United looking at a player like that? And I thought Newcastle, having got 1-0 up, I think Newcastle felt it was going to be their day, and they played quite poorly. But from United's point of view, we got the job done and we won. And I want to talk about the Ollie in and out, and we'll do the player ratings in a minute. But I do just want to talk about Martial and say that I thought he was fantastic today. And I think there'll be a real lack of mainstream media, ex-United players saying how great he was. I think if Marcus Rashford or Jesse Lingard put in a performance like Martial today, you would not be able to escape it. It would be everywhere. Match of the Day, Sky, everyone would be talking about it. But because it's Anthony Martial, and because it doesn't suit the agenda that they've got, you won't really hear much about it. The people who rate Martial, like myself and some of you, will say he was superb. And the people who don't, who have their agendas, will just say nothing about it. He was superb tonight. You might get one of these ex-players saying Martial was brilliant tonight, he needs to do more of that. But the sad thing about that is he's been doing it all season. He just doesn't get the credit because they want to give it somebody else. And look, you know what? Lingard came on with half an hour to go, didn't do anything against a very poor Newcastle side. And I think when Rashford and Martial went off, United became a little bit toothless. I think they did. Pogba came on at half-time for McTominay. For me, Pogba's playing too deep when you're going to do that. I thought Pogba did well. It was nice that he got 45 minutes in, and I applaud Ollie. I thought the substitution of McTominay for Pogba was exactly the right thing to do, because McTominay took a bad hit on his ankle, and he was on a yellow card, so it made sense to take him off. Made sense to give Pogba minutes, but unfortunately we had Pogba coming on in the position that we don't really want to see Pogba, which is that deeper player. I thought Pereira was good in bits in the first half, but faded in the second half. I thought Fred had a very, very good game. For me, Fred would be the contender. But in relation to what this means for Manchester United, I'll tell you what it means. It's Christmas time. It's Boxing Day. It's a time to be happy. You don't want United dragging your mood down. And today, Manchester United got a very comfortable win. They got 3 points. Look, let me say this. It is a case of what could have been. I do sit here now, and I'll read some of the comments in a minute, but I don't think anybody, rather than joking, is saying Ollie at the wheel or Ollie's the man. I mean, that would just be idiotic for anybody to say that. I mean, it's literally days since we were embarrassed by Watford, who haven't won a game at home all season and comfortably beat us. We're at home to Newcastle, who really should be being dispatched by United, and were dispatched. But I don't think United are, these players play for Ollie. They're just not good enough at times. And they don't tend to lose 2 games in a row. He always seems to find a way to stay in a job. And look, he's going to stay in a job anyway. I don't think if he'd lost today, he was going to get sacked. But it's not a surprise to me that United won today. Does it change my mind? I don't think my mind can be changed about trusting these players or trusting this manager unless they go on an amazing run between now and... I think, for me, everyone says, why you Ollie in? And I've already explained that, because the board needs to change. But for me to change my opinion and start trusting this team, they've got to go and get Champions League football in May. That's what they've got to do. I'm not even interested in... Well, I'm obviously interested as a fan because I really enjoyed the wins against Spurs and Man City. But I'm not interested in celebrating these irrelevant results if you're going to then go and take 5 points from Everton and Watford. And I think that we beat Spurs, we beat Man City, and you looked at those games. You looked at Everton, Watford, Newcastle, Burnley and Arsenal, and you went 15 points. 15 points in top 4. And yeah, we've took 3 of those points today against Newcastle, but we took none against Watford and we dropped 2 against Everton. So, you know, they are what they are. They're massively inconsistent, and I think that's what we are. I mean, today, I saw somebody saying today, well, we've proved we can beat a team that's got a low block. And I thought the equaliser proved it. I thought Wan-Bissaka's goal proved it, but 2 of the goals were gifted by awful defending. I mean, Longstaff's for Martial. I mean, the game was over then, but the second goal, Greenwood scores a cracking goal, but it's laid off to him. Perfect, you know, very, very poor. I thought Newcastle were poor today, but United can only beat what's in front of them. And I'm going to do the player ratings now. You can't moan about it. I think United fans' problems with Ollie and the team are not about today. They're about the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is this is still our worst start in Premier League history. We're still massively inconsistent. And Newcastle were awful today, and we took advantage of that. And we should beat Newcastle. We've got way better players than them. It's at Old Trafford. It's packed. It's Boxing Day. I think we've gone and done what we needed to do, and I was very happy with it. And when you've got people like Martial putting in the performance like they have, you've got Wan-Bissaka actually putting in it. I've got to give Wan-Bissaka a shout out. I think he's one of the best defensive right backs in the world, and that cross towards Rashford was exactly where we want. I mean, if Wan-Bissaka can improve his game in the final third, you've got the best right back in the world, because defensively he's the best. He's just going forward, he's not great, but that cross and the way Rashford attacked it, I thought that was my favourite goal of the game. I really enjoyed that goal. I loved the way that Rashford was, really attacking it, and I loved the way that Wan-Bissaka put it up. And too many crosses go into that box that our strikers don't get anywhere near, and Rashford got on the end of that, so I really liked that. Tactically, as I said, I think United, the midfield battle was pretty much 50-50 until half time, and then we took control of it. We do need depth in that midfield, of course we do. I think Lindelof and Maguire still look uneasy. I would love to see the development of Twansebi to give us that pace, recovery pace. But United were worthy winners today. I don't think anybody can say that. Where does it leave us in relation to Ollie? Look, we are going to have him as our manager for a long, long time to come, but I don't trust him, and I don't trust those players, and that's not a sack them and sack the players thing. I've stated what this club needs to do, and it needs to start at the very top and go all the way down. That's not going to happen either. But I don't trust this team, and I don't think they deserve my trust or anybody else's trust. But they have an opportunity now. Burnley away, 48 hours time. Arsenal on New Year's Day. There's 2 games there away from home that they can go and win and build some momentum. And then you play Wolves in the FA Cup away, tough game. Then you've got Man City in the Carabao Cup. And we can't afford, in any of these games, whether it's FA Cup or Carabao Cup, he can't go to Wolves next week and put a weakened team out. Like, why would you do that? Like, we've got to be a cup team, and the FA Cup's a good opportunity. So there's lots of games to come. Player ratings wise, I think De Gea gets a 6. There was nothing really he could do about the goal, and he didn't really have anything to do, so I'd give him an average 6. Wan-Bissaka, I think for me was a 7. Played very, very well going forward. Defensively, never gave Almiron a look in. I think Lindelof and Maguire would give him average 6s. They didn't put a foot wrong really, but I just think that I'm not totally confident with them. Luke Shaw, I think it's hard with Luke Shaw. I don't think that Luke Shaw put a foot wrong. I thought he had a good game. I'd give him a 7, which means I probably should knock Wan-Bissaka up to a 7.5, because I thought Luke Shaw had a good game. Didn't really put any decent crosses in today, which he has done in previous weeks, but I thought Luke Shaw had a good game. Fred, to me, was definitely an 8. I thought he was, right up there as one of our best players on the pitch. McTominay, I would give him a 6. I thought he was average, really. Looked a little bit too eager to please and then went off at half-time. Hopefully he's not injured. Pereira, I'd give him a 6. I mean, he got an assist, a little bit greedy at times. Pogba came on at half-time, so I would give him a 7. I thought Pogba in that position just gives you quality. Mason Greenwood, 7. A little bit quiet at times, but for a young lad, I think he's really developing into the team, and the way he took his goal was superb. Again, Rashford, I think I'd give him a 7. A little bit wasteful at times, but I thought the goal that he scored was great, and he's always a threat. I don't care what anybody says. I think Rashford is in a great vein of form at the moment. And Martial, I would give him an 8, but I would give him man of the match 8. I wouldn't go as high as a 9. I didn't think, I think when you're getting into 9s, you're talking about immense performance. I think that if that goal had gone in for the hat-trick, he would have been a 9. Maybe pushing for a 10, but 8 and man of the match for me, Martial. I don't want to run away with it. I don't want to give people 9s and 10s because it was a bit of... I mean, as bad as it sounds, we should never be bored by a performance like that, but it was a little bit of a boring Manchester United performance in the second half because Newcastle were so bad. I'm interested to see how we do against Burnley, who I think are a worse team than Newcastle. But it depends, doesn't it? It's very interesting because I was saying this before the game. I think Ollie bottled it a little bit, and he probably bottled it because he was worried about Newcastle because he couldn't really afford to lose tonight. So I think he went with a team that was stronger than it needed to be, because if you think about it, we're playing in 48 hours against Burnley, and on paper the away game is the harder game because we struggle against these teams away from home. But you look at the team he picked, I was really surprised that Luke Shaw wasn't rested for 48 hours and he played Brandon Williams. I thought he'd play Mata and rest somebody. I thought Matic would play and he'd rest somebody. And it's going to be interesting how he lines up against Burnley, because does that mean he's going to play Matic? He's going to play Brandon Williams? He's going to play Dan James? Or will he try and play everybody twice in 48 hours, which is so dangerous when you're then playing Arsenal and Newcastle in less than a few days. So I think Ollie went strong to win this game. I don't think we'll find out. I don't think he's gone long term again. And we've seen this with Ollie a lot in a lot of his team selections this season. When he played Pogba for 90 minutes against Rochdale because he didn't want to get embarrassed against Rochdale. He goes very short term. Even though he's a manager that says, I'm all about the future, he goes very, very short term to keep himself, to keep the wins. And what I would say is, and I'm glad I've kept this sort of later into the video, because I am disgusted with Ollie. I am disgusted. I was disgusted on Christmas Eve when I read these quotes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying that it's about building a team for next season. I don't care who you are. I don't care whether you're the biggest legend we've ever had. That really, if it wasn't Christmas and I was just like, forget about it, I'm going to have some mulled wine, I think that's disgusting. I don't know what you lot think, and it's always all about opinion, of course it is. But when a Manchester United manager comes out before Christmas and says, this season is about building a team for next season, well, what's your parameters then? What are we doing next season? Are we building a team to be in the top 4 next year? I mean, what are you talking about? This is Manchester United Football Club. Liverpool are our biggest rivals. They're going to win their first title in 30 years. And before Christmas, you're saying this season's about building a season for next season. So should we write? And if next season doesn't work, can we write that one off as well? I mean, when did Manchester United Football Club get to the point where we write seasons off as we're building for next season? It's just absolute shit. I've never heard such crap in all my life. And maybe other clubs have done it. I don't know. I've certainly never heard it. But to say, this season's about building a team for next season. At what point was that ever the statement for this season? What's basically happened is you're hanging on the edge because you've been exposed as inexperienced, which we all knew anyway. You talked the talk in the summer about players being ready. You talked the talk about money being there, but you didn't want to spend it. You talked the talk about your midfield being good enough and you're having loads of options. It's been a disaster of a season, let's be honest. And you're now saying at Christmas, this season is about building for next season, when Pogba won't even bloody be here. So what are you talking about? How can you build for next season when we already know at least 2 of our players this year won't be here next year and you've got to buy 4 or 5 players? What a dead, stupid comment to make. This season is about building for next season. You haven't even got the players now to build for next season because we know you're going to spend money in the summer. And we also know that 2 players are going to go on the face of it. So that, to me, is just defies logic. Absolutely defies logic. And I was really pissed off about that. And I'm very, very, very happy that Manchester United have won today. Of course I am. But that did disgust me. And I can't really bring it out in any other video, and it's the first time I've really been live since he's made those comments. But I wasn't happy with it. I think it's bang out of order, and I do wonder about our football club when a manager is allowed to come out with comments like that. And I would say as well, if Jose Mourinho was to come out with a comment like that, he would have been castigated. It's because it's Ollie that we allow him to keep coming out with these ridiculous comments about, as I said, how can a Manchester United manager seriously be allowed to come out and say this season's about building a team for next season? And where's the clarity on what next season would be about then? I think we should give opportunities to Gomez and Chong against Burnley, says Mojo. I think we're going to lose those two players, to be honest. Ramit Sandhu says, positives today. We finally win after conceding first. Greenwood proves he deserves to start. Rashford continues his good form. Wan-Bissaka finally puts a cross in. Martial hates haters silence. Well, I've said this many times. I said it before the Everton game. Mason Greenwood should be starting ahead of Dan James. He didn't against Everton and we drew. I think Greenwood starts ahead of Dan James for me. I like Dan James. I think he's brilliant off the bench. I think Greenwood starts for me. Smash a like if you agree. I think Greenwood for me now is a starter. That goal again today, that second goal, takes the game away from Newcastle. Martial equalises. Greenwood gets the goal that puts us some space there. Shane Shaw was at fault for their goal, says Pete Squire. Well, I don't think he was actually. I think he was. I think the midfielder were at fault for the goal because it's a midfielder who scores the goal, and I think defensively the centre backs could have done a little bit better on the first pass when they lay it off. Jay Singh, don't forget last week this team lost to Watford, so don't get too carried away with this. We need to take this result and get some momentum. Red Baron says the media has been feeding racist undertones against Martial and Pogba for years now. No wonder people parrot them. Well, that is an interesting thing. I don't know about that, but I do think there is not a racist. I do think that there is an agenda against Pogba and Martial that people like Lingard and Rashford don't get. I've never really understood it. I think that without question, Pogba and Martial are massively important to Manchester United, and they make us what we are. But look, it's 3 points today. I think we're fortuitous that there is another game coming up in 48 hours. We need to get 3 points there, and then Arsenal's going to be a big test, and then Wolves and Man City will be big tests, which I'm looking forward to. But I just want to say personally, it is Boxing Day, which is why the watch-along wasn't done in the normal position, which is why I'm doing my match reaction in a different position with none of the normal lighting and green screens, but you've got my match reaction. Please do smash a like on the video. I've already done the player ratings MMH. If you don't want to get here in time to do that, and it was 10 minutes in, I'm apologetic about that. Fan cams are just about to go up, so I will get those up for you as well. Thanks everyone for watching. Back tomorrow with a preview for the Burnley game. Back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with the normal live stream, and then Saturday will be another watch along. So it's thick and fast and furious on the United stand. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Smash a like on the video, of course, and thanks everyone for watching today. I've really enjoyed it. It's been nice to do a stream, and it's absolutely superb that United have got a 3 points, because at the end of the day, whatever we think about the long-term future and these ridiculous statements that come out about the club, it's always nice for Manchester United to win. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.